Hi, this is Vanessa with the latest update of ASEAN news, and here they are. Indonesia evacuates 83 people from Ukraine.
Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi said Indonesia repatriated 83 people, including 3 foreign spouses from Ukraine. The group spent a few days in safe houses in Romania and Poland after escaping from Ukraine before they were able to fly to Jakarta from Bucharest to following the Russian invasion. Retno said that they had successfully evacuated 4 Indonesians from Kharkiv, the second largest Ukrainian city that has been under fire on the same day. Another 9 Indonesians remain trapped at Chernihiv. Russia's invasion of Ukraine entered its second week and killing hundreds of Russian soldiers and Ukrainian civilians and forcing more than 1 million refugees to flee. Therefore, foreign ministers of Southeast Asian countries called for an immediate end to what they called military hostilities in Ukraine and said they believed there was still room for peaceful dialogue in a statement that made no mention of Russia.
Thai democracy activists sign up to fight tyranny in Ukraine.
Far off Thailand may not seem an obvious place for recruits to Ukraine's efforts to raise an international volunteer force to defend against Russia's invasion. But to former Thai Air Force conscript turned political activist Chanapong Balpongpai, the cause is a natural fit for members of the pro-democracy movement that emerged in 2020 to protest a military-backed government in Southeast Asian country. Chanopon, 28, said he felt upset for the Ukrainian people, particularly after reports of Russian attacks on civilians. Chanopon told to Reuters that I've been involved in demanding democracy in my country and opposing tyranny, and they, Ukrainians, are also fighting for democracy and are now invaded by a superpower and a tyrant, so I asked myself what could I do for them. Chanopon and 5 friends visited the Ukrainian embassy in Bangkok and met with a staff member there after registering on-site gathering information on potential recruits. The group's organizers affirm in a single day this week, a Thai language online group gathered more than 2,000 names of people that interested in volunteering for Ukraine. But the staff member who met with Chanapon's group, the officials are considering applications who need to submit online documents including proof of military training and a clean criminal record. The staff member also asked potential volunteers to apply by email and not call or visit the embassy. After completing his mandatory Thai military service, Chanopong worked as a private security consultant. He said his training from 2 years in the Air Force could help the Ukrainians evacuate civilians, guard areas, and secure supply lines. His more recent experiences in clashing with Thai riot police during anti-government protests could also be useful. Thai government spokeswoman Rajada Tandirek said there is no law preventing Thai citizens from joining foreign volunteers forces, but that people should consider the potential grave danger as Russian forces pound Ukraine cities with heavy weapons. Thailand was among 141 countries at the United Nations General Assembly that voted to reprimand Russia for invading Ukraine and demand that Moscow stop fighting and withdraw its military forces, and that Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has otherwise maintained a neutral stance since the Russian invasion. It is not clear whether Chanapong or his friends will be accepted into the Ukraine International Legion, but they have already begun to prepare. He's been up in his usual running regiment to make sure he is in peak physical condition.
Ukrainians in Malaysia fear for their families back home.
This is the video that my father shot on the first day when they got to the bomb shelter. It's a public bomb shelter.
Ukrainians living in Malaysia expressed fear and concern for the safety of their families back home as Russia intensified its attacks on Ukraine's urban areas following its invasion of the country last week.
In Ukraine right now, so those are some of the friends. My mother.
Irina Grigorenko, who has resided in Malaysia for 2 years, said her parents and cousin had taken shelter in a bunker below the family's home in Koprivnitsky, a central city about 4 hours from the capital Kyiv.
We try to unite. We have certain ways of helping Ukrainians in
The 24-year-old said the family sent her text messages and photos from the bunker, but she does not know how long they will remain there, with the conflict showing no sign of ending soon. Grigorenko, who also has a brother living in China, said her family was relieved that a pair of siblings were spared from the attacks. Another Ukrainian woman, who only wanted to be identified as Svitlana, said communication with her parents and younger siblings in southern Ukraine was frequently cut off by mobile service disruptions. The Ukrainian community in Malaysia has collected funds to be channeled to organizations helping their trapped countrymen to escape.
China's National People Congress opens annual season.
The 30th National People's Congress, China's highest organ of state power, opened its fifth and last session on Saturday morning at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. President Xi Jinping, also General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, CPC Central Committee, and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, and other Chinese leaders were among nearly 3,000 NPC deputies present at the opening meeting. Li Jiangsu, chairman of the 13th NPC Standing Committee and executive chairman of the Presidium of the session, presided over the opening meeting. Premier Li Keqiang delivered a government work report on behalf of the State Council for deliberation. Li noted the general principle of pursuing progress while ensuring stability will be adhered to and set a 2022 economic growth target at around 5.5%. During the week-long session, NPC deputies will deliberate on the report on the work of the government and review the report on the implementation of the 2021 plan and on the 2022 draft plan for the national economic and social development and the draft plan for national economic and social development in 2022, as well as the report on execution of the central and local budgets for 2021 and the draft central and local budgets for 2022. They will also deliberate on the draft amendment of the organic law of the local people's congresses and the local people's governments, the draft decision of the 5th session of the 30th NPC on the number of deputies to the 40th NPC and their election, the draft method for the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region and the Macau Special Administrative Region to elect deputies to the 40th NPC, as well as the work reports on the NPC Standing Committee, the Supreme People's Court and the Supreme People's Procuratorate.
Indonesian woman devotes her life to protected and endangered gibbons.
Tini Kasmawati uses a crude pulley system to raise a bucket of bananas into the canopy of an Indonesian rainforest. Within minutes, a silver gibbon with its baby clinging to its chest, swinging through the trees and grabs a few. For nearly 8 years, Tini 49 has been one self-funded mission to care for the endangered apes native for the jungles of West Java, spending at least 2 hours a day with them.
Menjadi mengamati mereka, tapi
Also known as the Java gibbon or Owa Jawa locally, populations of the silver-haired primates are in decline because of illegal animal trafficking and deforestation. Only about 4,000 remain in the wild, and according to the Conservation International, about 24 in this area, according to a local wildlife conservation group. When Tini met a Dutch student who traveled to the tropical country to study gibbons in 2014, she felt ashamed of her own ignorance and that of the local community and was spurred into caring for at least 6 of creatures she has now come to regard as family. Despite being blind in one eye, she walks through the forest, listening for the silvery gibbons' distinct songs and greeting them softly as they approach. Animal welfare activist Budhiharto, who goes by one name and runs environmental group Chikananga, praised Tini's work as she had helped provide much-needed food for the primates. There are plans to convert Lengkong Forest into a protected area, but the fate of these scrunch-faced monkeys remains precarious as they are plagued by inbreeding. Tini hopes her work can help conserve the remaining gibbons and allow researchers to educate the public about them.
file footage shows North Korea missile launches.
North Korea fired at least one suspected ballistic missile toward the sea to the east of the Korean peninsula, and militaries in the region said an apparent test just days before the South's presidential election. South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff said they detected the launch of one suspected ballistic missile, while the office of Japan's Prime Minister also said it was a suspected ballistic missile. The launch will be the 9th this year, when North Korea said it tested systems for.
Thank you for today's watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you as well for Jello's post wardrobe. We will see you again.